Let's move on to the NLCS on the other side, the other league here we have, gentlemen, and we are all ready for our championship series with the Padres and the Phillies. Not the worst guess if you had made that at the beginning of the season as two teams that could have made the LCS, but I do still think that there's a bit of an underdog story for both of these squads at this point, making it all the way to the Championship League Series. So for this series, we have, I believe, San Diego minus 120 and the Phils plus 105 to go ahead and take that. In game one here, specifically on Tuesday night, we think we're going to see Yu Darvish taking on Zach Wheeler. I know that there's a bit of it's a little bit up in the air in terms of who's going to be starting for the Phils, but most likely Wheeler. So you've got a minus 125 money line price for the Pods there, plus 105 once again for the Phillies. So let's go ahead and start off with you, Nate, here in this Yu Darvish, probably Zach Wheeler matchup, game one. Really, what do you like about this series? And then let's tackle game one a little bit as well.
I mean, crazy momentum from both teams, like you said. Really, the theme of the postseason in general right now is just teams getting hot and upsetting those 100-win teams. But I like the Phillies here in game one. I think Wheeler profiles really well against that Padres lineup. I think plus 105, I have no problem with that. But over the course of a long series, the bullpen edge for the Padres, the fielding edge, the depth of their lineup, I do like the Padres. So I think my favorite bet here from a series-long outlook is Phillies game one, Padres series, plus 450. I mean, you're getting good juice here on a team that is otherwise expected to win the series. So looking a little more closely at the game one, why I like Wheeler, really good against lefties with a 29% K rate on the road, holding lefties to about 200 average. He did sputter a little bit on the road down the stretch, but he's been lights out in the postseason here. And in two against the Padres as a member of the Phillies, he has not allowed a run. He has 9 Ks in both those starts, gone 7 strong. He's really been just excellent since he came off the IL at the end of September there. And the Padres, they've either struggled against the fastball or the slider. You look at the first half or you look at the whole of the season. In fact, they're the 4th worst team in the NL against fastballs, negative 22 rating. They came up to average against fastballs in the second half, but then their rating against sliders dropped from plus 8 to negative 2. So Wheeler, it makes sense that he's succeeded against them. And Darvish, I mean, he looked incredible in that wild card start against the Mets, then struggled, but against the Phillies, just average. He also has great numbers against lefties, don't get me wrong, but I think the Phillies, because their big bats are Harper and Schwarber, we kind of overlooked that they can come right back with these righties who just had some huge hits against the Braves. And Darvish at home, 2.4 home run per 9 ratio in his last 5 starts. So not really taking advantage of the confines of Petco going up against the slug and Phils. That's why I like Philly in game one here, but I like the Padres for the series.
I actually don't hate that, to be honest, because I love the Padres for the series, but I do see game one as the Phillies' best chance to get a win. Well, in terms of like pitching matchup, I know Darvish has been very good for the Padres, but I have him as a worse option than Snell and Musgrove. I have them both projected above him. So I actually think he's their 3rd best pitcher. So with the Phillies throwing their best pitcher, because I do have Wheeler slightly stronger than Nola. So with the Phillies throwing their best pitcher and Padres throwing their 3rd best pitcher, I think game one is actually a really good opportunity for the Phillies to get a W. That being said, there wasn't quite enough there for me to play it, but I do lean towards Phillies. But in the series, I really like the Padres. Made a multi-unit play here, minus 120 for the series. It was basically like Nate was saying, I don't see any real edge for the Phillies in this series. I think the Padres have a better rotation as far as like depth for sure. Like their 3rd option is better than what the Phillies have. And I think Syndergaard is the clear weak link when it comes to the rotations. I even think like Manaea is a little better than Syndergaard. And I would expect if they need a 4th starter and they don't go for a bullpen game, it's going to be Manaea. Better bullpen, better defense by quite a distance, obviously. I think, so StatCast, outs above average has the Padres as the third best defense, and the Phillies are only ahead of the Nationals. So they're very, very bad. We know this. And then where the Phillies are supposed to be better than the Padres is with the bats. So they have a better offense on the season, 106 WRC plus to 102. But I honestly think the Padres might have a better offense. Those numbers obviously don't bake in a full season of Soto and Josh Bell. So it's at least close. So if the Padres have a better offense, then they just are basically better across the board than the Phillies here. And they also have home field. So they just, nothing to me is pointing to the Phillies in this series, I guess is what I'm getting at. So minus 120, too low for me. Made a play on Pod series there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of intriguing value on the player props for the entire series here in terms of those guys to make an impact that Mo mentioned. Soto, plus 800 most hits or 850 most total bases, because I think he's more of a walk threat at times. So I kind of like that. And Josh Bell, I think plus 2,200 most homers for the series. I mean, the Philly rotation, pretty righty heavy. So I think both those guys will be factors. I think you can get some value there if you want to go with them rather than the favorites in Machado or Harper.
Yeah, either way, so many names in this series that we'll be looking at here. Obviously, all those big moves that the Pods made and the Phils in the last couple of seasons. So plenty of bats to go around in this one. Hoping for some pretty fun baseball in this LCS.